Hi, everyone. Officer Matt Coffey.
And I'm Officer Ryan West.
And this is Dixon Police Podcast, Episode 3. This one's going to be about wellness in the workplace. And our special guest is going to be Detective Sergeant Ryan Bivins. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So wellness in the workplace it's an important thing, especially in this line of work.
It is.
Just by the nature of the job being what it is, we're subject to a lot of just stressors. Even, not just like people think, terrible calls, car accidents, whatever else, house fires that we get to before the firemen. But
right.
Tonight is our first night on night shift in a couple months.
Oh, man. And I'll tell you what, my eyeballs are hurting. I am tired.
Yeah.
I just told Ryan I'm ready to go home and go to bed.
Yes.
And we still have about 2 hours left.
Couple hours left.
Yeah.
I'm not doing too bad. It's usually the second or third night.
Tomorrow night will be rough.
I really start hurting.
Even more rough than tonight has been.
Yeah. So for those people who are unaware, we switch from day shift to night shift or vice versa every 2 months, which is good because there's a different call set that's at night versus during the day. And nights are just it's a different animal altogether. But yeah, that first week, usually what it takes.
Yeah. Especially we only had two days basically to switch from our day shift to our night shift stuff. And we're super fortunate here that we switch every 2 months. Mm-hmm. Some departments are every single month.
That'd be rough.
They switch from days to nights or nights to days. And I did that for about 4 months. My
they still do it over there?
They still do it. Yeah. Oof. I had my FTO class this past week, and I sat next to an officer from that department, and he said yes, that they are still switching every single month.
That's rough.
Gosh, that's rough, man. I only did it for like 3 or 4 months because I wasn't there long.
Right.
I wasn't on the road there long, but man, that's something, like wellness in the workplace. Like that's something that probably takes a toll on you eventually, especially years and years on the job.
Yeah.
It's
funny how like something simple as messing up your sleep schedule can add an undue amount of stress in your life.
For sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I've seen that too. Like when I go like on trips for military, like you jump into a different time zone and then you're trying to like do your job that first like week or two, and you're like, oh man, your body's just so messed up trying to get some like normal sleep, and like, why is the sun up at weird hours?
Well, and especially this time of year for us, February, March on night shift.
Yeah, it's dark when you come into work, and it's dark when you leave.
Yeah, or when you wake up, it's dark. Some people sleep a lot longer than others. I try to get up when there's a little bit of sunlight left. But yeah, there was. I think it was a video I saw not too long ago that it messes with what they call your circadian rhythm. Just like your body's natural, way of waking up, when the sun's out and going to bed when it's dark. So that's it plays a big factor in it. So,
are you still doing your sun lamp thing you were doing?
No, I'm not. I was doing.
Can you explain what that was?
So that was, what I was doing. So I kind of got a little geeky with it for a while, but there's a guy named Dr. Andrew Huberman. Okay. He's a neuroscientist at Stanford University, and he says like one thing that'll change your life is the second you wake up, try to get outside and get 15 to 20 minutes of natural sunlight, not just with a lamp or with there's glasses you can get that kind of dictate or kind of replicate natural sunlight. But he says natural sunlight 15-20 minutes the second you wake up in the morning, and it just sets your circadian rhythm. Obviously ours as police officers isn't really ever set unless you're on a
day shift.
Unless you're on days all the time, which patrol you're obviously not. So that's something big that I did for a while, and it really did help me. But when I switched back to nights, it wasn't.
You were trying to do it like with a lamp, though, right?
Yeah, there are lamps you can buy.
UV lamp or
A
something like
UV lamp.
that. It's like we put for plants, trying to grow them in the winter.
Yes, yeah, but it didn't. It didn't last long because I noticed when I switched back to nights, it just switching the every 2 months switching it didn't really work out for me.
You, like,
So
wake up and immediately hop into like a tanning bed.
you could do that. Yeah, they say sauna is really really good for you too. It actually, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I know if you do it at least 3 or 4 times a week, you get into a sauna for like 10 minutes, you decrease your risk of cardiovascular disease by over 40%.
Really?
40%. Yeah.
Over like what, like lifetime or
A lifetime, yeah.
Wow.
Just like 10, I think 10, 15 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. And that's what all these neuroscientists are saying nowadays, which I'm going to believe them because they're way
doctors.
smarter than I am, and they're doctors,
Yeah.
And then I don't know, have we talked about the cold showers
We haven't yet, but
on
that's,
here?
I was
Is
going to
that
bring
what
it
we're
up
getting
because
into? Yeah, so it's either a cold shower or
and that's
they call it a
when you
cold
wake
plunge.
up, not like before you go
It's
to bed.
when you wake up, yeah. So they say, I think it's Huberman, again, Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist from Stanford. He says that so you want to do 11 minutes total a week.
Oh,
That's all it is.
okay.
And that's either a cold shower or they recommend a cold plunge. So like plunging your body into like a bathtub up to your neck for 11 minutes a week. And it just totally like optimizes your health.
That's
You
super
feel
time
good.
consuming for those of us with kids.
Right. The dopamine spike that you get,
Okay.
your like feel good hormones and everything, is like 2 to 3 hours after you get out of the cold plunge or out of a cold shower. You just feel great. You feel good, and it's like they say. So like, I don't know. They talk about cocaine addicts.
Okay.
So when somebody ingests cocaine, their dopamine spikes like 2.5 times above baseline.
Okay.
Well, he says that if you get into a cold plunge, that it's the same. It's for your body, like your dopamine spike is the same as it would be for, a cocaine addict, like 2.5 times above baseline, and then it takes you like 3 or 4 hours to get back down to your baseline dopamine levels.
So Matt's pro tip for today is if you want to remove cocaine from your life, you just need
You just need
ice
to get into a
baths.
cold bath, yeah, a cold plunge, yeah. That's just one of the many.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy, science nowadays and technology and all the they're talking about some people with all this it's not really gene mutation. I don't know what exactly the word is for it, but some people are claiming that they're going to live to be 140 years old nowadays. And I'm like, man.
Would you want to?
So I will say I'm obviously scared to die.
Okay, sure.
Which I'm sure most people are. But 140 is a long, long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
Now, I guess are they aging slower too?
They
Or-
are aging slower. Yes.
Okay.
So they're doing, I don't know if it's, these people do like, they take crazy amount of vitamins. They do, they do the sunlight, they do the cold plunges, they do all these things. But I'm not doing it to live until 140.
Right.
I'm
My
just
luck,
doing
if
it
I
to
started
feel
taking
better.
all those things, I'd get in a car accident at 60 and die anyway.
And die. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Interesting.
yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
Do you do the eye light thing? What's that called?
Oh, it's EMDR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that eye movement?
Yeah. Oh gosh. You know what? Let me look it up super quick while we're standing here.
While he's looking that up, what this thing is, it's a bar with lights on it, and the lights move back and forth, and your eyes track it. It's supposed to make you feel better somehow through science.
Yeah. So it's called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing,
Okay.
is a form of psychotherapy that is controversial within the psychological community. Some people really like it, and some people don't. I know Detective Sergeant Ryan Bivins is a huge proponent of it,
Is he?
and I am as well. I do it when I go
Okay.
when I go to therapy,
Yeah.
and it really, really does seem to help.
When I met with, I think it was Brooke. I went, we do wellness checks, and we'll get into that more when we do their interview with Sergeant Bivins.
Right.
But officers here, we do wellness checks once a year. And when I went there, she was explaining that to me. She had the whole bar, and she's like, "You want to try it?" I was like, no. Maybe later. I need to do some research on this first. So
Yeah. So I'm a huge advocate for it. It helped me a lot. It helps me a lot. And it's crazy to think that just sitting there and moving your eyes back and forth, watching, it's either one, you can do 1, 2, or 3 like dots. The one that I do, and it's usually 3. I don't know if there's a difference in like how big it is or how small it may be, but every time I do it, it's always 3 lights. And it's not an extended period of time. You're not doing it for you're not sitting there for a half hour, going back and forth, back and forth. It's probably 5 to 10 minutes total. And whatever pops up in your head, you tell your therapist, and they just kind of go along with it. And wherever it takes you, and it just really seems to help you process things better. So
I wonder if this is where people who hypnotize people, they swing the thing back and forth and your eyes follow it.
So I also do what is it called? I think it's hypnotherapy.
Do you really?
Yeah. So I did that once, and it was kind of... I'm kind of indifferent about it.
To me, it's like snake oil, where it's like, oh, I've got this thing, it'll cure
so
everything.
She wasn't like dangling the
pocket
thing in
watch
front of my
in
face.
front of
But no, I just lay down on the couch there, and she just was kind of walking me through my childhood, which is a big, your subconscious mind and everything. So she really dove into that, and I did it for, I think it was 10 or 15 minutes, and she brought up so much stuff from my past that I just tried to tuck away and act like, it didn't happen or things like that. And she brought it back up, and it was actually really, really good for me to have that knowledge and stuff of, why us as human beings go through things and deal with things, differently. So that's, I was for it in that aspect. But what it did to, I got numb and lightheaded and dizzy and had to eat I think I had to have 2 or 3 granola bars and a huge glass of water just to it was kind of scary. But at the same time, it was it was nice having, finding out, those things that I had tried, tucking away and just kind of putting them on the back burner, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I was I was for it. But I was also I'm still on the fence with it.
Interesting. So. I had no idea you did that.
Yeah, just
once.
Even
the thing.
Yeah, I've only done it once, and it's still with the same therapist in Lombard. It's not. You don't go. She's certified in it, so you have to get a certain certification for it. So yeah.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah, kind of different, but
okay.
Like I said, on the fence about that one.
Yeah.
So
well, I think that'll lead us nicely into our guest interview here.
Yeah,
Sergeant Bivins coming in.
Sergeant Bivins coming in.
All right, let's jump into that.
Awesome.
Well, for our special guest today, we've got Detective Sergeant Ryan Bivins. A little known fact about him: if you are named Ryan, there's a 10% chance you work here at the Dixon Police Department. Myself, him, and Ryan McQuethy. Actually, we were all in the same class at third grade.
Yeah, going back a few years. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you just go ahead and take a few minutes and explain who you are and what you've done here?
Yeah. So I've been here for just over 14 years now. I started at the Lee County Sheriff's Office working in corrections. Did some time in the National Guard as well during that time, and served in a variety of positions here. Currently assigned as the Detective Sergeant, so get to supervise investigations division, and not only that, but be a part of the crisis intervention team and just a lot of other different things. I think I remember you asking the favorite position that Deputy Chief Richards ever held, and I would agree with him that it's patrol sergeant.
Yeah. Why's that?
It's you're in the mix. With the team, right? You get to help, you get to supervise, you get to guide and teach. And not that I can't do that where I'm at now, but it's at a different pace. things are a little bit slower in investigations as far as being patient with cases and things like that. On patrol, your split-second decisions, you talked about eating dinner together and lunch. Huge believer in that. We always call it
Yeah.
fellowship, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The meeting of the minds, that's what we call
So
it. Yeah.
when you're on a shift together, you really become close. Just getting someone right out of the academy and being able to help shape and mold that person,
It's
fun. It is really fun.
So when I was coming back from I had a deployment to Iraq in 2019. I was coming back and I had just a little bit of seniority by this point, and it was Lieutenant Sibley at the time. I emailed him and said, "Hey, I'm coming back. Like, what shift am I going to?" And he's like, "Well, you actually got some time on. Like, what shift do you want to go to?" I was like, "Well, that's easy. I want to go to Sergeant Bivins' shift because you were out there getting in the mix with all the guys.
Sure.
You're making it fun." And like from an outsider perspective, I was like, "That's the shift I want to be on because I want someone that's like active and they're having fun doing it." That was always Goose's Deputy Chief Richards' big thing was like, I'm here to work, but I'm also here to have some fun while I'm doing it. And so that was like my top two was like, I want Sergeant Ryan or, Sergeant Richards here. So because I think that's going to be just like the most active shifts and like the ones just having the most fun while they're doing it too.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, so the topic for this podcast is actually going to be wellness in the workplace. And I know Ryan Bivins is a big component of mental health, especially here at the police department. He does a lot of things for us here, where there's peer support groups, we have annual wellness checks and things like that. But the first thing we're going to talk about is one of our main resources, and that is the First Responders Wellness Center in Lombard. So Ryan, if you could just kind of go into what the Wellness Center is and whatever else you want to talk about, just go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Matt. So, something I'm really passionate about is wellness, not only for the community and individuals that we encounter every day, but also for officers. A lot of people don't realize that we as officers, we're normal people. We deal with life struggles, and we're not immune to that. So it's really important that we're on our best game so that we can give the best service to the community as well. So the First Responder Wellness Center, something we were introduced to probably about 7 years ago, maybe.
Has it been that long already?
Yeah,
That's crazy to think.
it has. Yeah, it's been 6 or 7 years, and they're in the suburbs, and it's a great group of people. Dr. Steiner, she was a former Chicago police officer, started this center, and it's made up of individuals, counselors that understand what it means to be a first responder, whether they did the job or they were in the military. So they have that experience with seeing some of the things that we see on a daily basis. And they offer a lot of services. So they do background checks, screenings, and wellness checks. If you need to talk to somebody, you can go there to talk to somebody. And it's again, makes a huge difference talking to somebody that's actually done the job. And they can say, hey, here's some ways to get through this situation or to deal with this situation.
Yeah, just by the nature of this job, I mean, you're exposed to a lot more than probably your average person would be to, something that could be potentially traumatic or, just, it would kind of just leave its mark on you for a little while.
Yeah.
So it's good having those kind of resources.
Absolutely. I know for me personally, it's been the center in Lombard, and Dr. Steiner's office has been huge. And I have zero shame about saying that's probably some place that I'm gonna be checking in with often for the rest of my career. Right, in order to do my job well, I need to make sure that, as I said before, I'm on top of my game, and we have to take care of ourselves. So that's part of it for me. It's not for everybody, but for me it is, and doesn't mean I'm crazy. It doesn't mean it means I'm normal. It means I'm a human, that I feel like everybody else feels.
Yeah, I'll back that. Like Ryan just said, I go I go often as well. I check in often as well. There's a lot of things, especially with, friends, family. You have to be not only on your A game for, people here at work and the people you serve in the community, but your home life as well. People have kids, people have wives, friends, families that they need to be able to be there for when those people need them. And I've been a big proponent of it as well, that the Wellness Center has really helped me not only become a better officer, but also a better person as well. So that's why I go there. I go once a month. I'm not ashamed of saying that. I go once a month. I talk to the people there, and they've helped me a ton. They've helped me get through some pretty dark times in my life. And yeah, I'll go there for the next 29 years. So if I go till 55, but yeah, I have a long time in this career, and being tier 2 here in the state of Illinois. So yeah, I have to be mentally, healthy for not only myself but my family, and then the people I serve in the community as well. So I'll go to Lombard for the rest of my career for sure.
Quit tapping your fingers on the chair.
That's what I'm doing?
Yeah, I get picking it right up.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay. Now we can go into our peer support groups. That's something that we do here at the Dixon Police Department. That's not something that I don't know of other agencies that do peer support groups, but we like to do them once a month, I think. And Ryan puts those on. So Ryan, if you want to go into our peer support groups and kind of the synopsis of those.
Yeah, the peer support group is it's just another tool that we have. And it's something, again, we started it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago. We started here. And peer support, whether people understand it or not, it's something that happens on a day-to-day basis, especially cops, night shift. You meet car to car and you're parked in a parking lot. That's peer support when you're talking after a call and talking through it, or talking about what's going on at home, or your personal life, or whatever it be. But our peer support group here, we try to meet once a month or every other month, and we open it up to the sheriff's office, firefighters, city and rural. And so, all the first responders, we'd see different types of calls, whether it be an accident or a call involving a child or something. It affects us, right? A lot of us have young kids. So we get together and we talk about different topics. We'll bring in guest speakers, whether it be some of our chaplains or another retired law enforcement person to kind of share with us, hey, how did you get through this? And it's not like a lot of people think, and I have to tell a lot of officers, hey, we're not going to sit around and hold hands, and you're not going to have to introduce yourself. And there's a huge stigma around peer support and mental health, especially in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're trying to break down. Because as we mentioned, we're normal people. We go through life struggles. We feel it too. We have to get rid of that idea that if you need to talk to someone as a cop or get some help, that you're going to lose your gun and badge, or that you're weak or whatever. That's what today's culture tries to preach, is that if you have to get help or reach out and you can't do it on your own, that you're weak. And that's not the case at all. A lot of us, some of us know what we get into when we sign up for this job. A lot of us don't. Just to talk about some of the types of calls that we deal with, I mentioned the calls with the kids or accidents. And when we go to a call where there's an infant death or a death period, we have, we all have that personal connection to it, whether we just had, our own kid, or whether we just had a loved one die, or to see people grieving. That stuff wears on you, and it builds up in your brain. You put it to the back and you try to forget about it, but it stays there. So peer support is designed just to share your story in hopes that it might help another officer, to share some mechanisms to help with outlets and things like that. So it's been some meetings we have 1 or 2 officers show up, and some firefighters. Other meetings will have 8 to 10 people show up. So it's just kind of, it goes in waves, and that's okay. Some people, they like it. Some people don't want anything to do with it. But again, that's something that we have as a resource.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's got to be voluntary too, because like people got to want to go to that kind of
Absolutely.
thing. If you were to force everyone to go to it, then I think the effect of it would be negated completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice to know that I know that I can speak to anybody here about what I'm going through. So the peer support, it's like a second safe place for me when I do go, when I'm able to go. I know I can talk to Ryan West, I can talk to Ryan Bivins, I can talk to Chief, I can talk to the lowest guy here. I can talk to anybody here about things I'm going through, and I know they're not going to judge me. They're not going to make me feel like less of a person. So the peer support is another huge thing for not only me, but I think everybody here. It's a great outlet, and you can just come and you can sit down and just talk. It doesn't have to be necessarily about anything you're going through. It could be, family stuff or how work was going today or anything like that. So I think the peer support is a great thing, and I hope it continues here.
Yeah, I think it definitely will. And one of the things you hit on, Matt, is that there's no rank in the room, right? So the chief or deputy chiefs or sergeants will be in the room, and there's absolutely no rank.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that we stress, because we want everyone to feel like, hey, I can share this in confidence and trust that it's going to stay here.
Right.
And it does.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. We'll move on to our annual wellness checks. These are checks that are done annually, once a year, and you can go to the local people we have here in town in Dixon, or you can go to Lombard. And I don't know if is this a law now that we have to do this? So it is a law.
It is a requirement that we do a annual wellness check.
Gotcha.
And so there are plenty of different resources for that. You mentioned the Wellness Center in Lombard, and then we have Mowbray Counseling. And Brooke, she does a great job and has helped a lot of our officers as well. But it's just a check once a year to go in, and it's like you have your physical, right, where you get your blood drawn and get your levels checked and all that. And it's the same kind of thing that, hey, how are you doing? What's been going on this last year? What kind of calls have you had? Anything in your personal life? Just a check to make sure that you're doing okay and that you're the longevity, like you said, you've got a few years left in the job, right?
Some time to go. Yeah.
And so we got to make sure that longevity is there.
Right.
And talked about also, I know when we first started doing this, it was like, we don't want the first time you see someone for a mental wellness thing to be like in a crisis already. It's like, get to know them a little bit beforehand. So you're like, okay, yeah, I already know this person. I mean, even just loosely, I've maybe met with them once or twice, but even that can be huge.
Absolutely.
So just be able to break that ice a lot faster.
Yeah, it's building those relationships too is big. I know we talk about that all the time with every aspect of work, whether it's wellness or anything else. But yeah, building relationships is huge in this line of work. So.
Yeah, instead of being just completely reactionary to the situation, this thing happened. Now here's these people to go fix you. It's it's proactive. Like, hey, let's develop this relationship. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think we already hit on like the total support from the department a little bit.
We did.
First podcast,
we did. If I could just touch on it though, because I
Absolutely.
did listen to
ahead,
your
Ryan.
I did listen to your first podcast.
There we go.
You guys
we got a listener.
You got a listener. You guys did a great job. And you talked about the culture, and that's something that guys will drop what they're doing to help somebody here, and that's what we preach, and we live it. Not only do we have support from the department, one of the other resources that we have the First Responder Resiliency Program that we partner up with the city, and so we have the support from the council, the mayor, city manager. I mean, we have the whole team. If somebody needs help with something, that person, that officer, that first responder is going to get the help that they need. So to have that backing and that support, knowing that, hey, some places have to worry, some officers have to worry about their gun and badge being taken, or they're going to be put on leave or whatever. Here, we don't have that feeling, and you have that support. So that culture that we have here is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll second that. Last year when I was struggling with some things, and the first thing that came to mind was the stigma. Like, oh, they're going to take my badge, they're going to take my gun, I'm going to lose my job. How am I going to take care of my family? All these other things. And when I finally reached out to somebody, I had like the city council members texting me, calling me. The city manager got a hold of me and just said that they were proud of me for, reaching out, saying that I did need help. And just to that, like, put me at ease. It made me feel, I already felt like I was a part of this family, but that just brought it even closer. And I know that we've all here have had incidents where, something's happening at home and somebody will literally drop whatever they're doing and drive, they would probably drive to the end of, they'd drive hours to come help somebody. And that's huge. The support that we have over there at the city and here at the police department is massive.
I found it to be not, we're talking about like big incidents, something like that, but it's also been just like day-to-day stuff. When I worked under Sergeant Bivins here, he was very good at always asking, hey, how's the family? How's everything? How's home life? It's just picking away, just not like nagging, but, hey, you like genuinely wanted to know how's everything going at home, because you're good at understanding like the big picture, like, hey, what affects you there affects you here, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And just kind of understanding that whole like total picture thing was huge. And then that's kind of carried on to, I see that in some other sergeants here now too. So it's awesome to see when you got like people aren't just like, okay, hey, show up, go stop cars, go do whatever, and then handle your calls and then leave. It is like a big family atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice to have that. It's nice to break it up too. Like, when you're at work, like, you're here to work, but at the same time, it's nice to talk about your family or your friends and things you're doing, especially nights coming up here next weekend. From especially this time of year, February, March, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is usually pretty rough. You don't have many calls that come in. There's not many cars out to stop, so it's nice to, if we are back here at the police department, just talking about anything but work sometimes is really nice. And I know we do that well here, so that's not really a concern at all for me. So
we're talking about the annual wellness checks. That got me thinking. So last fall I was at some military training, and it wasn't anything exciting. It was just like some leadership stuff. We're sitting in the classroom for the entire time, and you got guys from all over the different specialized units that we're with, and a couple guys were like the really specialized units. You're like, okay, whatever. And some guy gets there and starts talking about basically this, like the annual wellness checks, mental health stuff, and going talking to people, and everyone in the room's kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, And then these guys from these like the specialized units are like, wait, you guys aren't doing that? So everyone's like, wait, no, these guys are doing it, but maybe we should be doing it. He's like, yeah, you're stupid not to. Like, your brain's like one of the biggest, most powerful things you have.
Yeah.
And if you're not like actively taking care of that and your mental side of things, like you're missing out on like half of your like capabilities.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of, I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that can lead us right into exercising physically. That is a huge proponent of your mental health, because your mind and your body are one. That's something I've learned going to the wellness center, that, exercising, whether it's for 30 minutes a day or an hour or whatever it may be, that is a huge proponent of your mental health. And I know it's easier for some people than others. Some people have kids. People have, and before I had kids, I could work out 5 or 6 days a week. But now that I do have a kid, it doesn't happen as often. So I try to, whether I think it's 30 minutes or so, 25, 30 minutes after I get off work, I go home and I walk on the treadmill or I run on the treadmill. And for like a couple hours after that, I feel great, mentally and physically. So exercising is another big thing that, us as cops, sometimes we're pretty lazy. So exercising is a big thing for me, and I think it should be for a lot of people as well, if you have the time to do it.
Yeah, my kids are starting to get to the age where my daughter's got like Facebook Messenger, and so Messenger back and forth yesterday, and I was like, hey, you wanna work out when I get home? She got super excited, so got on the rowing machine. She got on the bike next to me. and
Nice.
We just made it like a little family thing out of it. So
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I think it's just to kind of touch on the exercising. It's really easy when you get off a 12-hour shift, or to go home, get your gear off, and just sit down
Yeah.
and not get up, right? And so I kind of learned the hard way. I went through probably about 3 years of making a habit of that, and I noticed it start to affect my family life. Where before I would go out, I'd play basketball with the kids when I got off work, but I had a couple calls. I won't go into details about those calls, but really set me in a way that I'd get home and I'd sit in this chair and I wouldn't get up, and that was my safe place. And now looking back and knowing what I know is, like you said, Matt, is getting home and doing something right away. You let yourself sit down, and after a 12-hour shift of just dealing with a lot of, for lack of a better term, I'll just say BS.
Yeah.
It builds up, right?
Yeah, it does.
And you got to have somewhere for it to go. So
Right.
that's a great outlet for sure.
Absolutely. I think we hit on spending time with friends and family. I think we're pretty good there. The last thing we'll talk about is our new crisis team coordinator here at the police department.
Yeah.
Her name is Allison White, and she's been here for what, a week and a half, 2 weeks now, and we have called her, we have texted her, and she's been a huge proponent already. She's helped us a ton. So I don't know if
I was talking to her. I was actually talking to her yesterday about this. I said, maybe it's just coincidence, but I feel like her mental health calls have just gone through the roof since she showed up.
Yeah.
Just joking around with her, and she's like, "Well, maybe you're just more aware of it now that I'm around." So, well, maybe, but it feels like it's been a full moon for like the last 2 weeks straight.
It really has.
But
Yeah.
it's excellent to have another resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, she. Gosh, what call was it? It was probably yesterday. We had a call at 6 a.m, and she usually doesn't come on till about noon, 8 or noon. And it was this person. Allison is more, I guess, licensed to handle those types of things than we get our mental health training, our CIT training and stuff like that, but she's gone to years and years and years of school to do that type of stuff. So we'll just say, if someone's in a mental crisis, we'll say, hey, Allison's going to be on in a couple hours. Can I get your phone number? And I'll have Allison follow up with you. And she'll either drive to the house, or she'll call somebody on the phone, she'll call family members. So yeah, these last 2 weeks that she's been here, she's been a ton of help for us.
Yeah, Ryan, you've had a pretty big hand in being like our crisis team guy for quite a while now.
Yeah. So Aaron Simonton, he kind of, I would say, got the program, really the ball rolling on that some years ago, and so we have a great crisis team with KSB, Mississippi, some of those resources, and yeah, the mental health calls have just each year they increase and they increase, and so we have monthly meetings that talk about individuals in the community that we can help, that give us their permission to talk about them and to try to help them. And you mentioned with Allison, and now that's just another resource. Not only does she have the schooling, but she's got the experience in life. And I've seen her, firsthand talking to somebody, and people connect with her right away.
Oh yeah.
And not only is she there to help the community, but another resource for us, right, as officers,
right.
to be involved in the peer support and just our overall wellness. So it's really a win-win for the whole city and for us. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she does a great job.
Yeah, because she'll actually ride around with us
Yep.
too, and so that's like, a time where we can just vent, whatever. She's really
Yeah,
good at
I just did the other day.
asking questions, but like in a really
And she knows.
I'm like, I know what you're doing over here.
Yeah, she knows. Yep.
She's good at it though. So.
She is. And it's also nice, like if you're on a call where somebody's in a big mental health crisis, some people don't necessarily like, officers that come in uniform and have a gun and a taser and everything else. So it's nice to be able to call Allison, who is usually in just normal clothes, and she can just come and she can just talk to them. And I think people will connect with her like you said, they connect with her like right away. So I think that's a big component that she can come on. Like you said, a lot of our calls lately have been and mental health stuff. So it's nice to have Allison. It really is, and she does a great job so far. And I only think she's going to continue to do a wonderful job for us.
Yeah, I think we need more like 6 more of her around.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe someday we will.
Well, any final thoughts in closing here?
I would just want to reiterate the importance of overall mental health and the stigma that's got to be, that we got to continue to work against as far as it's okay. We have a badge, but we're just human, right? And
That's right. Absolutely.
we all need help, and we're here to help each other. So that's.
Do you have a most memorable call that you were on?
Oh man,
14 years worth. That's.
Gotta put you on the spot here.
I mean, sitting here with you, I guess I think of the one call we had of a DUI.
Where she almost hit the high school?
Yeah, almost ran into the high school.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
She runs into the fence and gets stuck. And we run up to the car and we tell her to get out of the car, and she won't. I think we say stop resisting, and she says I'm not. And then
She was actively pulling it away.
yeah, and then just to watch that video back was quite comical. Just the
Yeah.
whole thing. Thankfully, nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
But
She had been within inches of hitting the school.
yeah, I'm
she
just
had to
like
have been,
the
yeah.
biggest building in town, right? And that's the one you're gonna hit. So.
That's right in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of calls, but that one comes to mind just
Yeah.
sitting here. So
Yeah, that's a good
Or
one.
we'd posted that one video of you, like foot chasing that guy.
Oh,
and you were
yeah.
like, don't post that one. I got burned on that one.
Yeah,
I was like,
thanks.
no, we got him eventually.
thanks for pointing that out.
did
Yeah.
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 Plus a pop tire on that one as well.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I did.
That's
I
what
hit a
talked
curb
about
and
that.
blew the tire out of my car.
Yeah, you add a little bit of weight to the body and uphill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Slows
been a
you
lot of
down
fun
a
working here,
little
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep things interesting.
No, for sure.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come down and do this with us. And then,
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
if you
Appreciate
ever
it.
got any ideas for future episodes, or I would love to have you back and
All right.
talk about all the different things you've done.
All righty.
All right. Appreciate it.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So, obscure laws.
Yes, scare loss.
I'll go first.
All right.
So, and I don't know if any of these are true because it's just like so baffling to think that this stuff is out there. But the one I found was that, I'm not sure where it was, some city in Illinois, that if you're in public and you have a mustache, you cannot kiss a woman in public if you have a mustache. Who's going to enforce that? Certainly not me. And that's not Dixon. That's not a law.
Yeah.
Or that's not an ordinance, I guess, in Dixon.
So I had a really good looking mustache when I was in Iraq, and my wife basically came up with that same law. She's like, if you come home with that thing,
That's
I will
where-
not kiss you.
That's where it stemmed from.
probably, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, this is probably
that's
some.
funny. Well, that's kind of one of the reasons I brought it
upset
up in
wife.
because I know that you and Sergeant Sharp you guys had some
yeah.
pretty wicked mustaches. That was a long. How long ago was that?
I mean, that's probably
Probably
6, 7 years.
yeah, six.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's a long
pretty early
time.
on for me.
Man,
I'll throw that picture up on our
yeah,
the
throw it up
YouTube
on there.
channel one. Yeah,
right.
that was good looking.
See what kind of comments you get on that. Oh man, that's funny.
His is all blonde looking, kind of like yours. Like,
Yeah.
you can't see it from the distance, and you
Yeah.
get up close, and you're like,
Close.
oh man.
Yeah, that's why I get called. Yeah, well, that's not. Yeah, we won't talk about that. So, what'd you get?
Okay.
What'd you come up with?
So I was actually just doing our monthly training, monthly law updates. Have you done
I
February
haven't
yet?
done February yet. No.
Yeah.
Oh, that definitely picked it up.
Yeah, I know. Let's edit that cough out. So this might be something you've run across.
Okay.
Have you ever had it where someone calls in and says, like, there's a bunch of kids in a car at Walmart and they're too young?
All the time.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of what it's about. I was talking about
Okay.
child endangerment.
Okay.
And
That's what February's law.
Oh,
is, or
one portion of it was.
one portion of it. Okay.
And it was good because it was a good refresher on it. So
Yeah.
usually during the winter, we don't get these. It's usually during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, mom usually goes to the store. You kids hang out in the car. I gotta run in real quick, which I totally get. shopping's
Oh yeah.
100 times faster without kids. Yes.
Yes.
Or like really doing anything.
Uh-huh.
So we get people to call in. They'll be like, "Well, they're too young." And so you know what my follow up question always is for them?
What's too young?
Yeah. I go, "Well, what's the age that they're allowed to be alone?" And people, "What? Well, I don't know." I'm like, "Well, that's a good question because it's different for every kid." So do you know what the law actually states?
I don't know what the law states.
They're a reasonable age. So it has to do with their
Reasonable age.
maturity levels.
Okay.
So if you can talk to them and basically determine, like, yeah, this kid's mature enough to stay alone in a car for 20 minutes
20
while
minutes,
mom
right.
runs into the store. And then the actual endangerment piece has to do with, like, kind of like more like longevity. Like, is there, like, health and welfare going to be, like, degraded?
Put in danger.
Put in danger.
Or,
Yeah, it's probably a better word for it
yeah.
than degraded.
Degraded,
Yes.
yeah.
It's 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm struggling
yeah.
for words here.
It's rough, yeah.
Yeah, so it has to do with that. So, like, you have to be able to
Okay.
prove that, like, well, mom's going to be in Walmart for the next 6 days.
So that's very subjective.
It is.
Very subjective.
It is.
Okay. Because, reasonable to you may be different to me or different to a caller.
Yeah. And kids aren't raised, like, by the exact same family the same
right,
way.
Of course.
You might be kids who are like, oh, yeah, like, my kid's, like, 6 and they're self-sufficient. Like, wow, that is not the case in my house.
Right?
My kid came out the other day. We told him, like, go get dressed for school. So, whatever he had as breakfast, he came back out. He's like, I can't get my shirt over my head. I'm like, what? and he's just, like, what are you talking about?
How? Why?
I gave him that look, like the
dad
staring,
look.
the
Yeah.
dad look. Weirdly, he got his shirt off immediately.
Yeah.
Then he went and got dressed for school. I'm like,
Oh, that's funny.
what are you doing?
Oh, man. I haven't run into that problem yet. Mine's too little.
It's
for that.
coming.
That's hilarious.
No. So, not really obscure, but it is one that comes up pretty
Yeah,
often.
yeah, I
And always leaves people with question marks. So,
Yeah, for sure.
What's the age for...
It's a nice refresher.
How old can my kid be to be left alone? Like, well, that depends on your kid and your kid's maturity level.
So we'll just say from now on, well, how old does my kid have to be? We'll just say reasonable.
Reasonable.
A
Reasonable age.
reasonable
that You
age.
can say that they're mature enough to be by themselves.
Well, I just had one. There was 4 kids in the car, and 2 of them. Well, one was 14, one was 13, and then there was like a 5 and a 6-year-old in there as well. And speaking to the 14-year-old, I was like,
Wait. Who was driving?
So there was none of them were driving. So
Oh.
like parents went inside.
Got it.
Somebody saw the kids.
Sorry, you stopped a car
Carly-
earlier with 4 kids in it.
Oh no. No. Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
Just let the 6-year-old go with no. But no, 14, 13, 5 and 6
it's
I believe
definitely
they
old
were.
enough.
So it's like they're and I speaking to the 14-year-old, I was like, yeah, they're definitely old enough. And she got mom on the phone right away and I talked to mom and mom's like, yeah, I'm like getting milk and eggs and
Yeah.
she was coming out. So and you call those people back and they're like, oh, I don't think that they're 14 may not. That's why I'm saying it's subjective. 14 is no, they were old enough to look out for themselves and their siblings. So
It's probably the same person that calls in every dog in a vehicle at Walmart, too.
yeah,
There's a dog. It looks stressed out. You go up there, the dog's just wagging its tail. It's like, God, no.
It's got food and water.
You're right.
And
It's sleeping.
sleeping. Air conditioning is on. Yeah.
We had one of those calls. The dog was outside his house and was just sitting there watching cars go by. Somebody called it in, and so I went there with Carlos, and went there. The dog was like, "No, I'm good." So he put it on the radio that way. He's like, "Yeah, I talked to the dog. Dog said he was good." So
Dog said I'm good. Ted ate.
yeah,
Oh, there you go. That's funny. Nice.
yeah. So speaking of calls, we
There you
can
go.
move
We'll
into
go into our-
segue into memorable calls.
There you go.
Oh,
Awesome.
man. We're getting better at this, Matt.
I don't know if I need to handle more calls or what.
Sounds like it.
But I need to do. I need to
You just need
do
to write down stuff.
I need to do a goose set is to start writing, get a Word document or start writing stuff down. Because, 6 years on the job now, you would think I'd have like a ton of memorable calls that I actually like remember going to. But every single time we stand up here and do this, like I cannot pinpoint something specifically that's super memorable for me. So I need to come up with need to start a journal or something.
My problem is like when we're not here in front of the microphones, like, oh, think of one, like, oh, that's a good one,
I need to
then
write that
forget
down, and then you
because I don't write it down. That's the problem. I'm like, oh, I'll just wing it like everything else.
right.
Well, I'll go with the one I have then. So
Okay.
I think you were working this night too. So this is last time we were on night shift.
Okay.
There was a DUI detail in town.
Okay.
So there was like some state troopers in town.
I think I know where you're going with this.
there was county.
The deputy was in town. Okay.
There was a whole bunch of law enforcement
This
in
is
town.
PJ, right?
Yes, it was.
PJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the key indicators of like someone driving under influence is at nighttime they'll be driving without any headlights on.
No lights.
Right, because you forget, I guess.
Divided attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our downtown area in Dixon is really brightly lit. So we get a ton of these. Like people just not a ton of DUIs, just a ton of people driving without any headlights
Without
on.
headlights, right.
Because it's so bright with all the street lights until they get like a few blocks away and they're like, oh, well, my lights are off. Who knew?
Yeah.
So cars pulling out of, I don't say it's a McDonald's, somewhere around there. And I was a couple blocks away, but I could see it. And so I got caught at a stoplight. Hold on a sec. I thought I was going to cough again. Anyway, so I'm several blocks away, 2, 3. I'm stuck at a stoplight. And so I do what we normally do the team players thing. I get on the radio and say, hey, is there anybody at this location? Because there's a vehicle doing whatever. You know, I'm not worried about my own stop statistics or whatever. Like, you know, it's just as long as one of us gets it. Yeah.
Especially because there's probably a good chance that they are.
Right.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Or it's, you know, the other one that always gets caught with people with headlights off. You know, I've found they get their oil changed that day.
Oh.
And the dealership or auto
Seems
place.
that throws everything off.
It does. Well, so
Move your seat up or down.
they check the lights and they end up leaving them off. And like weirdly, more often than not, I talk to people like, oh, my lights are always on auto. I don't know why they're off. I'm like, get your oil changed. Like, yeah, today. Oh. Yeah. So that actually ended up being what this one was.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
they weren't DUI.
Okay.
But anyway, so this vehicle's driving, you know, south across the bridge in town, heading towards downtown area. And so I finally get caught up to it. I call on the radio, hey, is anyone close by? Oh, PJ, one of the other officers I was working with at the time, he's like, yeah, I'm across the bridge. I'll just kind of wait for it to pass me. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Well, we'll get to it eventually.
Right.
And as I'm coming up, the state trooper comes screaming down the main drag. It turns like right in front of me. I was like, oh, no.
No, he's going to get it.
You're right. And not that I don't like state troopers, right? But you know, it's our team, their team.
It's like,
you know, whatever.
yeah,
like I want us.
yeah.
If one of us is gonna stop it, I want it to be one of our guys.
Right, of course.
Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so I'm driving. I can see he's getting up to do it.
Oh, of
'cause
course.
He saw it too.
Right.
I don't even know where he came from. And so there's a state trooper squad car. My squad car is behind him. And then as we're driving, this county deputy, he's in town. All of a sudden I see him pull a U-turn right in front of the state trooper. So there's 3 of us in a row,
3 officers.
all driving for this car that's probably completely oblivious. And right as we're like starting to catch up to it, PJ pulls out of nowhere. I didn't know where he was at. Cuts off the deputy, which he didn't even see. Turns his lights out, and you can just hear like the collective, like, "Oh man!"
Oh, that is awesome. I remember that.
So they all stopped, and I was like, giving them high fives. I'm like, "Yep, sorry,
Yeah,
beat you guys.
sorry, we got you."
Yep, go find your own town."
That's a good one. Yeah. That's something that, you'll remember that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I wish I could come up with something, but that's a good one.
You were working that night too, weren't you?
I was working
I
that
think you
night.
were,
Oh, I didn't know like what had happened until after.
You were the eighth squad car in a row, probably.
Maybe 9th.
Yeah.
Who knows? I could have been the 10th. I don't know.
That's funny. PJ was just so unaware that those other 2 squad cars were there because I didn't call on the radio. Like, oh, there's 2 more after.
There's a
I'm just
trooper and a
whatever.
deputy. Yeah.
And I was laughing. I was driving.
man.
You know, and he got up there. And I think it was some high school kids that just bought
Oh,
McDonald's.
Just
right.
probably shut their lights off in the
got their-
drive-through.
Yeah, that or the oil change thing.
Or the
so,
oil change. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, since Matt doesn't have one,
Yeah, I
guess
don't have one for us for
I guess we'll
this
wrap this
episode.
one up.
I'm
next,
sorry.
Next time you got to have 2 then.
Okay. Well,
Start-
then I need to
start
handle some
thinking.
calls.
Memorable ones.
I'm just gonna go to every call from here on out.
Perfect. I like this. This is a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, maybe not.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for this one.
Wrap it up.
Thanks for listening in, and
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
yeah, I think we're starting to kind of figure this thing out a little bit.
We are. We're getting there. I think we're only going to get better. This will be, well, this is what, episode 3?
Yeah.
So we'll get better.
Yeah, episode 2 actually posts here in half an hour.
Oh, yeah, right. 5:30, you said,
Yeah.
right? 5:30 a.m. on February 3rd.
Yeah.
So let's see what kind of...
Let's see how long it takes us to edit this one to get it put out.
Yeah.
Probably a while.
Yeah. I get anxious for the comments, and stuff like that. I think we've talked about this before. You know, you have those negative comments, but mostly we get all of our positive comments.
So you'll be getting a new FTO soon. Or not FTO, you'll be the FTO.
I will be, yes.
Officer
Just
Grady.
had that class last week. Yeah.
So maybe that could be one of our next podcasts. We talk about
Field training
our
program.
field training process. And
Yes, yeah.
kind of what that entails. Maybe we could get Evan on as a
Put him in the hot seat.
From the hot seat, yeah.
Ooh. Not even off of FTO. And
Yeah, he's a talker. He'll have no issues.
Oh, yeah,
with
he
that.
won't. Yeah, I don't think he'll have
We'll have to-
issues talking.
I'll have to cut him off.
Yeah, and he'll be, well, yeah, we're going to need something to do. February, March night shift. You're going to have to do something. So, awesome.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll see y'all next
guys,
time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks.